Hello, Lafayette, and welcome to the LPIE podcast, where we talk about Lafayette Schools, the LPIE Education Foundation, and what your donation supports for our teachers and children. My name is Adam Welcome. I am the host. I am the tour guide of this podcast for LPIE, and I'm also a father of two children, currently at Spring Hill Elementary in 2nd and 4th grade. And you know what? As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Today on the podcast, we have the career counseling team and principal from Acalanes High School with us. I'm going to introduce them, and then they're going to say a little bit about themselves. We have Principal Travis Bell. Short story, Travis and I used to work together in another district, so we go back. Travis, it's great to have you on the show. We have Ann Schoner. Ann's going to correct her name. And Wendy Riker. Wendy, please correct your name. Welcome to the podcast. Travis, kick us off. Tell us just what you do, how long you've been at Acalanes, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah, hi, Adam, and thanks for having us on the show today. My name is Travis Bell. I'm the principal at Acalanes High School. I have been the principal here this is my 5th year, actually. I was here for 4 years prior to that as the associate principal, and I couldn't be more proud to be the head of this amazing school and working with an amazing community such as LPIE.
Awesome. Ann, can you introduce yourself to everybody listening?
Yeah, so I'm Ann Schoner, and I'm one of 4 school counselors at Acalanes. This is, I think, my 9th year at Acalanes, and I've been working in the district since 2006. We have 4 experienced and dedicated school counselors that work with all Acalanes students, and we're a great team.
Thank you, Ann. And Wendy, let's round it out.
Hi, thank you so much, Adam, for putting this together. I love the opportunity to share all the great resources we have here at Acalanes with our community. So my name's Wendy Riker, you said it correctly. This is my 2nd year as the Acalanes College and Career Advisor. It's a full-time role here, and I work in collaboration with the administration team, but very closely with the 4 counselors as well. So it's a great opportunity to interact with all the kids, to be a resource here. I actually have my certificate in college advising from Berkeley, and I'm a parent as well in the community. So I personally have a student who graduated class of 2020 in a pandemic. I also have a student who's a junior in the district and an 8th grader at Stanley.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. So like most things, a lot of programs, big programs, they have multiple funding sources, just so people realize. So the Career Counseling Center, Travis, correct me, is multi-funded by district, by APC, probably by LPIE, just different funding sources. Can you talk about the importance of that and how that all kind of works together? And when you're planning and thinking about kids and staff and what is needed, what do you think about from the principal's office when you're planning for those sources and what is needed?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we know, schools are underfunded in the state, and that's where we have organizations like LPIE who come in and really help make sure that some of these essential programs and offerings for our students are available. And so in terms of our College and Career Counseling Center, it is kind of jointly funded through some different organizations. I'm going to pause for the bell that's ringing. This just tells you how dedicated we are, that we are at work, working hard. So the College and Career Center, there's district funding for the staffing that happens in the College and Career Center, but then we also know that there's professional development that's required, there's resources that are needed, there's access to online application processes and where students can keep their resume and apply to colleges and have letters of rec uploaded and all that sort of stuff. And that's where organizations like LPIE come in and help support to make sure that happens.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, just as a resident of Lafayette, my family and I, we just moved, but we used to live right behind Acalanes. So we've grown up riding scooters and skateboards and bikes just around campus on the weekend. And I remember at the end of last year, in front of the Performing Arts building, there was a big piece of butcher paper, and there was the little kids had written where they were going to school. And my family and I stopped and just the eclectic variety of all the, I mean, the University of Alabama and Tennessee, and I think the Naval Academy was up there. My wife and I had actually had a good time talking to our kids about all the different options. And yes, families play a role in that, but the advisors and the counselors at Acalanes play a huge role in that as well too. And talk about that process, talking to students, working with students about their schedules, telling them what's possible, scholarships. I have no idea. I didn't talk to the counselor once in high school. So what do you do? What's the benefit? Kind of maybe bring me through a typical day, month, year, cycle. What does it all look like?
So this is Anne again, Ann Schoenauer. As a school counselor, we're kind of generalists, and I always say that we have the best job because we get to meet our students actually before they're even in high school. We meet them in 8th grade, and then we get to know them throughout their whole 4 years of high school. So we really get to see that development and get to know them. And because we kind of have a foot in all the different aspects, like our job is the social and emotional development of students as it relates to their school and career. So we're talking to them about classes, but we're also talking to them about personal things, wellness, college. And so we work closely with our college and career advisor. We work closely with wellness, but we're having those conversations of like, oh, well, what do you like to do in your free time? Here's a really cool thing that you could do in the summertime. Why don't you go talk to Ms. Riker about, to see if like, oh, if there's a summer program that has to do with your specific interest. And then as we get to know students and they are kind of following that path, we get more and more information and we can share more information. And I think one of the things that we do is kind of just help set the tone for students and families. And yes, there are amazing things out there, and college is a very complicated thing, and it's good to have high aspirations, but also like, let's look at the true breadth of all the choices out there, and just trying to really enforce that that our students are so talented and they do have so many options. And I was going to say, Wendy and I were talking, and as you pointed out, Adam, last year, I think we had students going to over 100 different institutions in at least 25 different states. So it really is beyond just those like top 10 things that maybe kids have heard of. And that's when I get asked, like, I want to go to a good college, I usually ask them, what does that mean? And usually it boils down to a college that I've heard of. So we try and make sure that they hear of a lot more colleges and other opportunities.
I'm glad that you clarified, because I came at the question with like a college lens, but the team does so much. SEL is education is filled with alphabet soup, social emotional learning. And I'm so glad that you really expanded on that with, it's not just college, it's programs, it's support, it's conversations, it's things that can help students in any way so that we have very well-rounded kids. Now, Wendy, in the college and career spectrum, how are you helping kids with getting into college? And I'm going to add another layer, that college looks different, and there are different programs than there were when I was applying to college over 20 years ago. What has changed? What's similar? What's complex? What's your biggest challenge? What's your biggest celebration with all of it? That's like 7 questions there. Do your best with answering them all.
There's so much that's changed since everyone in this group has applied to college. I mean, for starters, we applied on paper and mailed it in with a stamp. And now everything is on the internet. Everything is electronic, and it has made things more accessible. And that is partially why you may see a broader reach in school selection, right? So like Anne mentioned, we're looking at over 25 states. You even mentioned you see kids that are going to University of Alabama, Hawaii. I mean, there's a lot more options on the plate available to our students. Some of the differences our the college process is now much more unpredictable. So students are applying to many more schools. Our average student is applying to 10 to 12 schools, right? And they're really researching those on the internet. Sometimes, especially like in this last year, they're researching schools based on what they see on the internet. They don't have a chance to visit them until they get accepted, and then they go look at them. But people are exploring more out of state because there's a lot of scholarship money now available. There's this really cool program that we've taught our kids about called the LPIE program. And not to get bogged down in the weeds, but it's this exchange program amongst 13 Western states, and they give discounts in tuition to member states. And so when you see a lot of kids going to Colorado State and Washington State, Montana, they're able to explore those opportunities because there's significant aid available to our kids and our families. So the other change too is the number of college applicants has gone way up, right? Just the sheer numbers that are out there. And so it's a completely different landscape. And, one thing that I try to help kids with is really look at all of the options out there. I really partner with each of our counselors, and it continues to blow my mind how much they know about each individual student in their caseload. It's so impressive. And I can come to them and ask them about a student I'm meeting with, and they have a long history with that student, and they really understand the coursework that they've taken, the successes and challenges that they've had. And so it's really nice that I get a chance to partner with each of these counselors, and we really get to talk first about how to approach helping each student and what they're looking for. And the diversity within Acalanes is incredible, and celebrating that. Not everyone wants to go to a four-year school. Not everyone is ready for that. And so we also work with them on other options. The two-year option is fantastic. We partner with DVC, and we help tons of kids. I think last year we might have registered over 60 kids to matriculate to DVC after graduation. So we try to present all options. College isn't for everyone, and we want everyone to feel that their needs are met here and celebrated. There's kids who take a gap year and then think about it. There's kids who are going straight into tech programs or the workforce. And so there's just a lot of options. And I love that we get a chance to celebrate the whole child in the process of helping everyone who is interested and ready for college.
LPIE wants to take a minute to thank our top sponsors for the 2021 year. These sponsors, along with our business partners, support academic excellence in Lafayette. The incredible initiatives at our schools that you are hearing about on these podcasts are a result of funding from our business partners and you. Special thank you to our diamond sponsor, Dudum Real Estate Group, and Julie Del Santo and Tina Freckman. Also, our platinum sponsor, Law Office of Daniel Horowitz. Look for the 2021 LPIE Business Partner decal on the storefronts of local businesses, and be sure to go in and say thank you. They make the education of our Lafayette students a priority and are crucial to our schools maintaining their great reputation.
Yeah, I love that. Speaking of DVC, I applied to Chico and Sac State out of high school. I was not the model student. We're not going to get into that. That's for another podcast. I never visited the principal's office, Travis. I just was not the model student. I got into Chico. My parents said, Adam, you are not ready to go away to college. I'm glad they did. I went to DVC for one semester, changed my life. I came home. I called Chico. I just literally went in the phone book because, to your point, Wendy, we used to fill out things. There wasn't the internet, kids, back in 1997, or if it was very limited. I called the admissions at Chico and I said, hey, I was in last year. Am I still in? And they said, what's your social security number? And I told them, and they said, yeah, you're still in, like in quotes. And I said, I'm coming. And then I went downstairs and I told my parents, I said, I'm going to Chico next year. And my life changed after that. So, hey, do not discount community college. It is a great resource. You know, Travis, as I'm listening to Wendy and Ann talk and thinking about just a high school, and it's a small city. And I'm a principal of an elementary school. That's like a little village compared to like a high school. What are you most proud of when it comes to kids in college and ROTC or the Naval Academy or a trade school or anything in general, as you kind of sit back and you look at the last 5 years, last 10 years of being at Acalanes, if I'm doing the math right with your resume, and just seeing kids now come back after college and what they've done, what do you think about and what are you most proud of?
Yeah, that's a great question, Adam. And I would say what I'm most proud of is seeing students come back and express that the lessons, the passions that they discovered here at Acalanes have stuck with them and have then impacted the decisions and the choices that they have made beyond Acalanes. Seeing them come back and not only be lifelong learners, but looking for ways that they can engage in their community and give back to their community, both locally here in Lafayette and then beyond, and make impacts in the world. We start every year kind of highlighting this phrase that we believe every student can achieve at high levels. And when we talk about high levels, what we mean by that is that they're going to graduate from Acalanes, which is a high level in and of itself, and they're going to graduate with options, options for what they want to accomplish. And so being able to see our students walk across that stage and shake their hand, knowing that over their 4 years here at Acalanes, they have had the opportunities to engage in a myriad of different avenues, from visual and performing arts to career tech ed to high-level science classes and math classes and English selectives, and they've gotten the sort of gamut of the high school experience, including those outside of classroom experiences, athletics, clubs, that sort of stuff. And they've been able to find something that they're passionate about and that they're interested in, and that they can engage in a critical way, that they know they can go and use that skill or that gift and make an impact in their community in a positive way. So I love hearing stories about our alumni coming back and having experienced this success outside of Acalanes.
Yeah, no, I love that. And being an educator myself, is when kids come back and you see that and you hear it, and you, in those long lasting relationships, they go so far. I want to go a little bit deeper, Travis, with LPIE. And I as a principal myself, I know how important those parent groups are, and fundraising and meeting with people, meeting with the organization and developing that, and having members of LPIE come to the school, and you're giving them a tour, and you're showing them, and you're telling them. And I know you come from a long line of leaders. I know your mom was a principal for a long time, because I know your mom, from way back when I was a teacher. Talk about your relationship as a principal, and it's somewhat unique because Acalanes is a different district than Lafayette School District, but that LPIE connection is very strong. And for people listening, yes, the Lafayette School District is 4 elementary schools, and then Stanley Middle. Acalanes is its own high school district, which is a unique setup. So just talk about that relationship and what it's meant to you, just throughout the years.
Yeah, well, to that end, I think one thing that LPIE has really worked hard to do well is to bridge that gap from the Lafayette School District to the Acalanes School District, and helping parents understand that their support really carries a child from TK, kindergarten level, all the way through to graduation. And so you can kind of see the impact that LPIE has had across all 12 years, 13 years of that child's educational experience. But it is a unique partnership that we have with our parent organizations, and specifically with LPIE. As we walk the halls and give tours of our classrooms and our facilities and our spaces, you see LPIE's impact in every space that you walk into. So you walk into a science room and you are seeing students. I always use the example of dissecting dead cats, which I don't know why my mind always goes there. Maybe it says something about me, but using that example, those dead cats come from LPIE. Now, I'm not saying that LPIE is advocating for dead cats, but all of those lab supplies that come in from those biotech engineering equipment to get to look at some of the in-depths of those components, to dissecting cats or frogs or whatever it is that they have on the table. All of that comes from LPIE. And then you're seeing the lab equipment, the microscopes, the utensils that they're using, those were all funded by LPIE, so that the kids have access to go deeper in their knowledge and their understanding. Then you can go over and be in a completely different part of campus, and you're looking at world language and walking into our language lab and seeing students engaging in conversations with people around the world or with each other, and recording those conversations for teachers to be able to listen to and provide feedback on their tone and accents and all of that. And then you head over into the social science department, and you can see some of the flags that LPIE purchased, so that the teacher can hang a flag from every country around their classroom and have students discuss the political impacts of those countries and how they engage with one another. I mean, it's just, it's limitless what LPIE has been able to fund and provide for our students. That includes, our visual and performing arts and all of those supplies, but also getting outside coaches to come in and work with our students so that they can hone their skills on the violin or the flute, or as a singer, materials for the stagecraft to design just this epic rotating dial of a stage that's going to happen for their fall play production. I mean, it's a unique partnership that we get to have with LPIE, and we get to see the impact that they have on our students over their time at Acalanes.
Well, I love the tour that you just took us on, and I'm glad that you didn't stop at dead cats, because we may have had to go a little bit deeper. I'm glad you brought us to other parts of the campus, but hey, those cats they're important and they're real. And I'm going to come to you next. Similar question to Travis about, what are you most proud of? And maybe what are you most proud of? We haven't seen kids in person in almost a year in our schools. And there have been challenges, obviously, with all of our jobs. And what's a win? What are you proud of? Let's end on some really high positivity with the work that you're doing as an academic counselor. Do you have anything to share with our listeners?
Yes, it has been such a hard year, and I am, for one, looking forward to seeing my students in person. This is a job that's meant to be done in person. But I think our students and our teachers are just persevering so much, and I've had some really positive meetings lately with students and families where students are just thriving online, and the teachers are providing very engaging lessons, and they're really making academic progress, and students are being successful academically. We definitely have students that are really struggling, and this is not great for them, but overall I think our students are doing really well, and our seniors especially seem to, I was talking to one of my seniors in my Monday cohort yesterday who parts of high school have been really hard, and I almost started crying because this person is getting straight A's, and as a senior, second semester senior, when senioritis is usually kicking in. And so it's very gratifying to see those success stories.
Yeah, people, you hear things and you see things about education and not being in person, and I'm with you. I hear stories of hardship, obviously, like a lot of people, but I hear and I see so much goodness and so much happening, so much hustle, and teachers crushing it, counselors crushing it, and kids as well, and I think it's super important to celebrate those. Wendy, same question. What are you proud of? What's going well? Let's end on some positive mojo.
I know, I was thinking about listening to Travis and Ann talk, and there's so much to be proud of. I mean, this will be a year of resiliency. We are delivering kids into the next phase of their lives with a completely elevated level of resiliency that was never even available to students in the past. These kids have been asked to pivot, and they have done it. They're not complaining. They're just, tell me how, and how I need to do this, how I need to, learn this material. They're showing up. It's really extraordinary. I will say that something that I'm especially, I don't know, proud of is the right word, but just, I feel really touched and moved is that, I meet individually with students, and a lot of times their families want to join because they want to talk about college, and they're part of the process. And, Zooming in from their home, you know, and so, and for a long time we were working from home. And so there's a very personal connection there. You know, we're privileged to see them in their private space, in their personal space, and they're sharing, you know, their hopes and dreams for college for their children. And we just get to be a part of that. And I just feel like it's such an honor to be a part of guiding students and families through a really important transition in their lives. And I think Zoom has been so educational for us. And certainly our first choice would be to be, you know, face-to-face, of course, but wow, what an incredible year we've had. And we've all pivoted and I think done really well with it. And I'm so excited to see where our class of 2021 lands.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Wendy and Travis, the entire Acalanes team, LPIE, everyone listening, thank you for being resilient yourself. Thank you for showing up to work when sometimes work is happening in your garage because you're at home and you have families. I mean, I've been there as well too, and people have pivoted, and hopefully people are assuming positive intentions and still keeping the goal on horizon. All the students, class of 21, good luck, keep crushing it. Acalanes, thank you. LPIE, thank you. Everyone listening, thank you for all that you do. And I hope that you have an amazing day.